recording's going on.
Yay.
Okay, let's see. Did I finish doing my little deck? My deck is ugly as sin. I apologize. I try to make nice slide decks, but I did not have time today.
Everything is going to be great.
Yeah.
Everybody's space is so beautiful, so it's okay.
So we have a few people dialing in who want to just hang out with you guys. And Nicole, Chris, and Zoe have gotten these questions before, but I had this idea that basically I could set up the slide deck and then one of you can answer the question and then pass it to someone else to answer the next question, and you guys don't know the flow. Does that sound good?
Here's
Basically, I want to talk as little as possible, so I'm trying to get you guys to do the facilitation of the questions. How's that sound?
Love it.
Gotcha.
Here for it.
Okay. And I love that you have rosé, orange.
It's orange sparkling wine is the name of the game today.
Nice.
Ooh.
I'm going to talk about it later, so don't worry.
Was it under $20? I'm just kidding.
Yes, it was.
Oh, yes.
It is my favorite under 20 bottle.
Okay. You guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I can see some of you. So Jenny, Dolores, Tesh, and Douglas, would you guys mind muting for us so that we can hear our lovely psalms? Thank you.
Also, look at Douglas's happy Christmas background. Very cute.
It is very
cute.
Festive. We love it.
I had Budapest background because I was talking to Joe the last time I was on.
You told me you did that. Very cute.
Apparently. Okay, cool. Well, thanks everyone who wanted to hang out with us. Basically, we have a couple questions. This will be informal, and I just want to hear Nicole and Chris and Zoe riff off of these answers, so it can be as rambly as we want. So who wants to be the brave first person to talk?
I will.
I'll do it.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
No.
push-up contest to settle this.
Ladies first.
Okay, Nicole first.
Oh, no. All right, so the question is, and tell me if I'm messing up your format, but describe your favorite bubbly. Ooh, in emoji only. I think in emoji only. How do I do this on, trying to think of the best way to do this.
Describe it vividly.
Do I describe the emoji or should I find it and show it to you on my phone? So favorite bubbly in emoji only would probably be rose petal emojis.
Ooh.
For sure. And then it would also be the sparkle emoji. I'll actually type all of these on my phone in a text to Zoe so that everyone can actually see these. So definitely sparkly emoji, followed by rose emoji, and then followed by heart emojis because I am still very basic at my core. So I think all of that works for me because definitely I like more Pinot Noir or Meunier heavy sparkling wines. So this would be, these would be my emojis.
Awesome.
But I like when there's denser fruit and really beautiful floral qualities more than I enjoy the big brisk brioche style champagne. So that would be what I do. Next.
Okay, who's gonna go? You pick the next person.
I'm going to pick Chris next.
All right.
Okay, Chris, you ready?
Yes.
Wait, how do I make this work? Oh, there we go. Okay, so the question is, tell us the story of the most iconic bubbles of your life, or that you can remember.
Can I pass this one? I honestly don't have a crazy story about this. Even when you sent it over, I was like, I don't really have a crazy story about this. Seriously.
You want to go? So iconic bubbles is coming for you in the future. Maybe 2021 is your iconic bubbles.
I need all the iconic bubbles.
Okay, do you want to go backwards to emoji or forward to the next question?
I'll do, can I do the emoji question?
Yes.
Because this is just so terrific. Hold on. It's ultimately my favorite emoji ever.
Ooh, bold.
Yeah, so my favorite bubbly is this emoji.
Wait, what is it? Yellow circle?
You know the emoji with like the, can you see? I'm sorry.
I can see.
I can see it now. I love it.
It's just because I really love Pinot Meunier, and every time I drink a bubbly with Pinot Meunier, I'm just always so surprised and always just caught off guard. Yeah, like my favorite. Are we talking about favorites?
Go for it.
Well,
These are just
one of my favorites is Moussefi's from Marne Valley, Pinot Meunier from there, and it's just I always pick up a different note, and Pinot Meunier should get a little bit more love as far as like single varietal champagne, in my opinion.
Yes, here for it.
Will you write your favorite in the chat? So
Yeah,
people,
absolutely.
because I have no idea how to spell that. Welcome, Kelly. Okay, Zoe. Well, Chris can pick the next person, but I was like, well, maybe you want to do emoji too.
Let's do Zoe. That's fine.
I feel like my favorite emoji is not very interesting because I, like Nicole, just want cute things. And I'm a big fan of very specifically the little pink heart that has the sparklies all around it. You know, it's like a little bit Pinot Meunier. I'm also a big black grape champagne drinker. So I like a little pink, but also a little pizzazz and sparkle. So I feel like that's, you know, a pretty simple answer, but I think it's a timeless classic.
Love it. And I'm seeing a definite top contender for favorite bubbly between the three of you. Okay, Zoe, who do you want to go next?
Let's go. Should we round robin? Is that like not weird?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can do iconic bubbles, or you can do your favorite under 20 bubbly.
Ooh. All right. I guess I will go. And my current favorite bottle under 20 is actually going to be, it's 21, so it's a little bit cheating. But I will say that it's probably less expensive in other states because New York and New Jersey are pricier. So that will be my cop out. But it's actually a sparkling wine, like it's declassified cava essentially, but Jose Pastor Selection is the distributor for it, and I will type it into the chat. I am someone who loves bubbles literally all the time. Either I'm drinking like LaCroix or I'm drinking some sort of sparklings, anything, whether it's like beer or cider or actual like champagne. So anytime I can find something super value driven like that just makes me super duper happy. So I will type that into the chat. But yes, any like super delicious, beautiful fruity cava I am here for it. And I will also say that I have been a big fan of just getting any cheap sparkling wine lately and making cider mimosas to really be indulgent into the season, which is super corny. But that has been like my favorite go-to easy cocktail lately.
And it's just cider and whatever you bought.
Just really good apple cider and whatever sparkling wine you can possibly find.
Ooh,
Awesome. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to try that. Chris or Zoe, do you guys have a favorite under 20 that you want to add to the contender list?
Zoe, did you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go. I'm actually drinking mine, which is nice. We bought this as a gift for some friends, and shout out to my boyfriend for running to the wine store to get another bottle so that I could be drinking it in this class. So sweet of him. Like 20 minutes ago, I was like, wait, I really want to drink it while I'm talking about it. And he was like, okay, hold on.
Thanks, Joe.
So sweet. Yeah, Joe forever. So it's Greek, and it comes in this like squat little bottle. and it is $15. And I think like it's my new favorite like gifting wine because it looks, a little bit scarier than your average sparkling wine. Like it's a cap bottle, not like a corked bottle. It comes in a little squat guy. And I feel like if you're not an adventurous wine drinker, you're never going to pick it out on your own. But it's Greek. It's called Paleo Cariso, and it's mostly white, but with 3% of this like red grape that's indigenous to Greece. And it's like the most like yeasty, beautiful, like candied apple, delicious thing I've like ever had. It's so food friendly, and I've like yet to find a person who doesn't like love drinking it because it's so atypical, but like everyone's favorite flavors, and I'm like really loving it.
Nice.
Stick it in the chat.
On that. Here for weird shaped bottles.
Yeah.
Sounds very interesting.
So tasty. The last vintage was really appley, like reminded me of like dried apples. This one is like very yeasty and like malty, which I'm like loving. Both of them have been so pleasant.
I want all of these.
Also totally snacking on club crackers. Bubbles' favorite trash snack known to man.
You and your club crackers.
I swear, I was just thinking, if we could distribute club crackers to everyone in the world, it would achieve some semblance of world peace.
Oh my God.
I happen to agree with that.
What's Chris's favorite under 20 bubbles?
It's so probably atypical. Rotor Estate Brute. I think it's just, it's Cali bubbles, but here in Atlanta, it's $19. And I just think it's great. It's everything as an aperitif wine, would need to kind of get the charcuterie started. And but it's a classic as well. And it's an easy sell for me, also in the store. So
yeah, it's a nice one where you can find, like, it's a good go-to where you can find everywhere and it's super approachable.
Yeah. So when my friends are like shopping, and I know we all are probably our friends' wine consultants in their real life, so when they're in the supermarket or wherever they're at and they're trying to buy wines, I have to think, that everyone's not in a fine wine, shop. So I think of something that's accessible everywhere and in most states as well.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
You're getting some shout outs in the chat as well for you guys' recommendations. Tesh is daddying right now, but he's listening. Okay, I lost track of who's going next, so we'll just go to the next question, see what happens. Okay, sabering. Those of you who have spent any amount of time on Instagram have seen a lot of sabering lately. How do we feel about this?
It's necessary.
For what? Opening it or?
It's necessary. But honestly, I've never sabered before. I've seen it done multiple times, but never.
Funnily enough, I've actually also yet to pop the saber cherry. I'm like waiting for Zoe to do that for me and show me how. I know how it is done, and I have instructed other people how to do it, strangely enough, but I've never done it myself. However, I am always here for anything that makes you feel extra like special and frivolous. Yes. As long as you're not like spilling half a bottle of wine on the floor, because that is very sad. Yeah, but anything that like brings some extra joy, I'm usually here for.
That's also how I feel. I am not like the person who would ever suggest sabering because I am a grandma of a person and I don't like risky things. But the restaurant I used to work at, everyone's going away party, I would teach them how to saber something for like just to celebrate for their going away party. So we would always go stand outside the restaurant and we had like, just like the back of a chef's knife to do it. And I do think there's something like it's like a firework. Like there's something so fun and like cute and silly about it that like in the right moment, it's a beautiful and fun experience. I can't do that thing where you do it with a wine glass though.
That's like a pro tip though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tesh says, I say the opposite. It's so unnecessary. And Kelly says, I'm grocery shopping right now, but Chris, I legit have a saber you can use. So sounds like sabering in Kelly's backyard.
Noted. And apparently,
It's going to be a lot of fun.
hot takeaway is just start savoring every bottle of bubbles that you could possibly open every day.
Saber beer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm always like, are you wasting a lot? But I like my Puritan background is like waste not, want not. Okay. So how do you feel when you see people drinking champagne out of the bottle? For some reason, I could not easily find a photo of that. So this is a photo of that guy with wine.
Oh, you should have hit me up. I have the perfect picture.
All right. Thoughts?
No, Tesh, don't judge. Go ahead.
I don't love it, but I will not like zero passing of judgment, because again, like whatever you need to do to feel like great, I guess. But I will say it makes my heart a little bit sad, just because it's harder to, like, you can't appreciate all of the notes and like aromatics and all the flavors if you're not like, if there's nothing actually going towards your face other than like just chugging. And it's like, you know, you can slap the bag and do whatever else you want, but if you're gonna open a really beautiful bottle of bubbles, I think it deserves a beautiful glass. But that is just my personal opinion, but I will never, like, you know, do whatever makes you feel great. But I will say it will feel better if you can actually taste what you're drinking, will be my hot take.
Okay, my hot take is I'm about to admit something very embarrassing to a group of relative strangers. Nicole already knows this fact about me. I am a member of Bachelor Nation, which means I am a person who watches The Bachelor religiously. It is just so, I almost never tell anyone because I just feel like it doesn't look good for me, but it is true. And last year, in an early episode of Peter Weber's season of The Bachelor, a girl named Kelsey brings a bottle of champagne with her that she wants to share with Peter. And a lot of things go awry. It's a horrible situation, but it ends with her facing the bottle. And it immediately bubbles up and goes up her nose and all over her face. And it was like truly a delight to watch, but a reality TV disaster. I felt so bad for her. I could feel the sting in her eyes, the pain in her nose. Like, it was just really mortifying, and that's how I feel. I agree with Nicole. Like, if it's what you want to do, if it's like what brings you joy, then like please have at it. But I will say it is not for me. It is a risky and dangerous decision I will not be making.
Chris, what do you think about this?
I don't know. My take on it is I definitely don't feel like it's right, but I've been the person to chug some champagne in a nightclub setting before. So
is there an art? Because I'm like that girl, whatever her name was, where it's like going up my nose and like out, and it's not working out. Like, how do we do this, Chris?
You know, it's not really an art, but it's just like I have some funny. I'll actually have some funny videos of me just like pouring Perrier Jouet for a birthday, and it's just like foaming everywhere. So, I mean, practice makes perfect.
There's an underrated level of finesse, it sounds like, to this task.
I think there is some skill involved in this that I do not possess. Okay, so Doug is cooking dinner, but he agrees the strangest things happen on those shows. And then Tesh is like, it's just like drinking a beer. Although I can drink a beer from a bottle.
Really fast though?
No. And then he's asking about the shambong, which I haven't heard about in like a year.
I would actually, if anyone knows what a shambong is, I am delighted to hear.
I think it's like what's the one where you chillum? It's like a sham chillum, really. They pour it and then it goes into your mouth.
Oh, I see. I'm here. Yeah, that sounds safer to me.
More controlled. I don't know. We don't know, Tesh. We haven't tried it, right?
Also, when Douglas comes back, I would love to know what he's making for dinner.
He usually posts it on his Instagram. I looked at it. I was like, who's this Douglas guy? All right. Tesh, You want to weigh in here?
I don't have to be, but I'm here.
We've discovered there's probably an art to drinking champagne out of the bottle. Okay, so next question is about what are you drinking out of which of these glasses? Do you have a preference?
I'm always a larger, like Zoe's style glass right now kind of person. I think everything tastes better in a larger wine glass. Even though I'm cheating right now, I'm actually drinking sparkling cider, which is a little bit of a cheat, but not really because it's still bubbly. So it is a little bit more narrow of a glass, but I will say context is everything. So I will drink out of pretty much anything when the time calls for it, for sure.
I had a hard time finding the Zoe glass. Again, transparent. So it didn't make it on here. So I couldn't find a good one.
It's perfect. No, Zoe's our glass model.
Yeah. You both have similar, all three of you have similar glass types for your sparkling today.
What kind of glass is it?
What kind of glass is it?
Yeah, I mean, like what brand?
This is a Spyglass.
Okay, cool.
They're my favorites. They're Czech Republic. We have Zoltos in the house, but my partner is a notorious glass breaker, so we don't use them unless it's like company or like special occasion because he is a destroyer of glassware. And these are like $25 for a 4-pack. So like if he breaks one, I'm not like, you're sleeping on the couch. I'm just like, it's okay. Like we'll clean it up. So we keep a lot of these in the house. These are just their AP wine glasses. And they're really light. They're like good enough for tasting, not like, spectacular special occasion, but like really good everyday glasses.
For sure.
Yeah. It is very sad when you break a Zalto. You've definitely done it in my house to the point where like we've just done the stem. So Ryan, who is my partner, has like kept one of the broken ones and uses a tiny teacup as its stand because he's just like unwilling to throw it away or get rid of it. So like there's just times where it's like all the glasses are dirty and suddenly I see this like half a Zalto glass sitting in a tiny little teacup like it's supposed to be there with wine in it, which is just makes it a very expensive stemless wine glass. Fully functional, he screams at me.
Chris, what glass do you have?
I busted my wife's chops for using I was like, don't touch it. I was gifted 2 Zaltos, and last week I broke one of them. I broke one of them. And I genuinely, like, I was so sad, and my wife, like, she felt bad for me. Like, we had like a good 5 minutes of silence in the house because I was mortified that I dropped my glass. And yeah.
That's a heart dropping moment.
Right.
There's a mourning period for sure.
Extreme knock on wood, I've never broken a Zalto.
See, that's why I'm not allowed to have them because I know I'll break them. I'm a breaker. Yeah. It's rough. All right, we moving on?
We're ready.
Okay. I don't know if this is an interesting question, but as like a lay person, I want to know because I was at a wedding. Someone brought one of those giant ass bottles of champagne and they were trying to pour it into the plastic cups and it was a disaster. And again, I was like, the champagne's going everywhere. So how do we do this, people? And then also like, what have you had experience with these giant formats?
Chris, thoughts?
I've never really had anything well, that's not true. Like a Krug Magnum was like my first experience, and it was a group setting. So
fancy.
It was a group setting and I definitely didn't bring it, so, but it was just awesome to try. It was definitely awesome to try one of the best non-vintage champagnes in a Magnum format, which, most people, I never understood how people were like, oh, you never really had champagne until you try it in a larger format. But just like the oxygen it gets, and it's just it's an experience. It's just a different experience, Yeah,
I have not poured many large bottles. I will definitely phone Zoe as the friend because I think that she is one of the best service people I know. But when I imagine doing service with champagne bottles, I can just, and like what I think about in terms of how I move my body is like doing basically like the I'm a little teacup dance, but using the champagne bottle like as your attached like little teacup spout. And it feels like that is the general grace that one has to like operate with in order to not spill everything. But awesome.
Yeah, so the largest bottle I have poured and drank from is the Jeroboam, the 6-bottle bottle. I will say this, if you are ordering such a bottle in a restaurant, please be nice to your server because it's horrific for your wrists. It's like truly like just an exercise you can't imagine. But I can like, this bottle's not a great bottle for demonstrating, but pretty much what I would do is, you know, there's a little bit of a nubbin in here. It's not a great one. But I just stick one finger in there. I do this one because I have really long nails, so I try not to do more than that. And I stick it in like this. And then if it's a very large bottle, there is no shame in the game of sticking a finger right here. I think this is like the key. So like you want to extend your arm all the way. I can't actually get that far back. And then put a finger right here. And as you turn it, like that's what keeps it stable. I think if you have like a Magnum, you can get away with just your hand. And like, as Nicole said, doing the little teacup tilt. But if you have anything over a Magnum, like I would much rather successfully pour every glass than look really cool doing it one-handed and accidentally face plant the bottle and have like some kind of like explosion across the floor or like that rocket thing where it like flies around everywhere. Like I would just rather not look as cool. That sounds fine to me.
Agreed.
This all sounds very reasonable. Okay, what about the stacked glasses? Is that a thing?
I've
You
never-
pour. That sounds like a fine art.
No.
I honestly would feel like you all would experience that more in like New York, like that type of setup with the stacked glasses.
I don't know. Nicole and I are both New York soms. I feel like that might just be like a movie mythology
It's a
thing. I've
movie
like never
thing.
seen it in real life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels very very like Great Gatsby-esque, where I feel like I've seen it at like wedding chocolate fountains, but not in real life.
Yeah.
For like beautiful bottles of champagne. Because I think you get rid of all the carbonation if you're just like letting it kind of waterfall out into everything.
Yeah.
That sounds fun though.
It does sound fun.
It looks really pretty too.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of a huge waste of champagne.
Yeah.
Very cute.
I've traditionally seen it in like coupe glasses though, mostly.
Yes, yeah, because they stack them,
For
right?
the horse glasses.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, this one's a wild card, but I feel like bubbles are often considered like super bougie, but is there any like radical bubbles that I don't know about, radical bubble history? If not, we can skip it.
I will throw out a producer who I think makes like a really inventive and interesting set of bubbles. I don't know that I would use the word radical, but I could be convinced to use that word. So there's a Slovenian producer who I love. They're called Movia, and I'll put it in the chat later, but they make a wine called Puro, which is an undisgorged bottle of sparkling. So it's made in traditional method, but they stop before disgorging all of the yeast and, you know, whatever gunk. And they store it upside down in like a cardboard tube. So like the neck of the bottle sits in a tube. And when you get it, I've only seen it in restaurants I've worked at. I've never seen it in a store because like I think the tools required are like too intense. But if you see it in a restaurant anywhere, you like gotta get it. It's incredible. So it comes in this tube and you gotta store it upside down for like at least 24 hours. And then when you're ready to drink it, you fill a bucket with water and you use like a little crowbar tool to like pull the cork off. There's like a piece of metal in it. And you just like yank it off underwater and then flip it up really quickly. And it like, you disgorge your own bottle before drinking. So they're basically like meant to be like eternally ageable wines because like they're still sitting on their lees. So like you could in theory drink it like 50, 60 years from now. I think they're really fun. If you guys are interested, I'll send you a video of me opening one. It also has my very British dad narrating because because he got really into it, and he sounds legitimately like Nigel Thornberry. It's like so cute. He's like, he's like, so she's popping. Oh, there goes the cork, and close up on the that's the gunk in the water. It's like so funny. But it's just like, I think that's really cool because I think Slovenia doesn't really have a huge sparkling wine culture. And he basically was like, listen, I can make something as leesy and yeasty and beautiful and rich as like any other country. I'm just going to do it in my own like really specific, like really intense way. They're really fun wines. There's really cool videos of him doing it on YouTube. He has like one of the crossbar tools he used to open it, but Bejeweled, that he uses a lot. I like love this guy. He's so funny. So yeah, that's my like most radical bubbles.
Love that. I think my most, if we're using the term bubbles loosely, and I can say sparkling cider, I think the most radical bottle of bubbles I've ever tried is actually this insane bottle of pear cider from Switzerland, which Zoe will laugh because it, like I've never had anyone order it. Maybe Zoe has had it once, had someone order it, but it's this cider called Brittany's Pears. So it's a pear cider that is so shockingly aggressively acidic that it feels like your teeth are going to just crack under how much like acid is abrasing the enamel of your teeth. And it is just so weird and so absurd, but it is, when I think of like, oh, what's the most radical bottle of, I was like, yep, that is the one to me. And I will still say it counts because I love cider, and I think as long as it's bubbly, we can use it right now.
Shout out for the exceptionally cute name, Brittany's Pears.
Brittany's Pears.
Yeah, the pears, or all of the names are hysterical. But I'll throw it into the chat as well, just in case anyone feels like looking for some random Swiss cider that will like definitely wake you up in the morning like nothing else.
Yeah, it's jolty.
This is awesome.
That's WSET grid terminology.
Jolty.
Brittany's Pears.
Brittany's. That's hilarious.
It's so
the name.
It's wait until you see the label.
Chris or Tesh, radical bubbles. Obviously, we're taking radical and bubbles very loosely.
I would say slept on for me is Franciacorta. Very slept on. Diviella, that's imported by Superglue, and I've been drinking that constantly. It's a Blanc de Blanc, Italian sparkling bubble that just tastes like some fancy ass Italian nuts. You know, it's like beautiful acidity, great stone fruit, but I don't know. It's amazing. If you guys can, I know you have it in wherever you're. If you get Super Glue imports, you should be able to get it. It's fantastic. But Franciacorta is really, really interesting to me. You don't really see a lot of it, especially where I'm at. So I don't think it's as radical as like Slovenian sparkling, but it's delicious.
Radically delicious.
Yes.
Yeah, Slovenian sparkling sounds really good. I don't know if this counts in radical, but it's definitely one of those unicorn wines that I never thought I'd actually get to try. I got to drink a 97 Salon, and that was it was amazing to me, like how that was just a couple of years ago, and then we were drinking this 97 Salon, and I was like, this needs more time.
Really?
It was still so high acid, man. Like it needed to be laid down for like another 10, 15 years easily. It was such a treat. But it was definitely one of those bottles that were like, wow, here's what I was expecting. And it was here, but it was still like, it could have been here, if it was just a little bit, aged just a little bit longer. Yeah, that for me was a treat, and it was a really, really beautiful bottle too. Nice. Just to be able to say that you got to drink a Salon, period, I think is cool.
Yeah, that's a flex. Flex I got.
It would only be a flex if I like went out to my wine cellar and I had more in there. That would be a flex. And I was like, oh, on these, no.
That's like that thing where people are like, oh, like, what's like the coolest wine you've ever drank? And I'm like, well, I've had some DRC, but I've had, a half ounce that a guest it wasn't mine.
Some of my best sips have come from like compliments of guests of like
Oh,
not finishing
All
their
of
bottle.
One of my favorite cabs that I've drank that was memorable to me was a 92 Cayman Special Selection. And it was a bottle that I sold to someone in the dining room. And they were just like, have you had this? And I was like, not in a minute. And they're like, go get yourself a glass. I was like, okay.
Everyone should cheers to the guest who is generous enough that they see your hunger in your eyes for the wine that they are drinking and decide to share it with you. Shout out to those people across the globe. They are what keep things going.
Cheers.
Cheers to them.
Yeah. It's a good guess.
Strong agree.
Okay, also radical. Zafa makes some pet nat hybrids with cider. Radical as heck. Love it.
Can't believe
How are
those
these?
are really fun.
How are those Zaffa wines? I've only read about them. We don't get them here.
It's hard to find them. I've only had one because they're like so allocated. Even in New York, like they're just hard to find. I would say they are very fun and really cool and interesting and like different than anything else. But if you are not a super tart wine drinker and a natty fiend, you will not like them. They are both like very natty and also like Sour Patch, like jawbreakery, like painfully tart, which is like, it's super fun, but like they're definitely not for everyone.
Gotcha.
It's always funny, right? Like I just saw a meme the other day. It was like this like really like blacked out, like gray, super modern looking house. And then there was like a house right next to it that was like purple and white, right? And it was like my wine taste and then also my wine taste. And I was like, man, it was like the perfect mix of songs, right? It's like, we love the stuff that just like is so tried and true and like hits home. But then we also love the stuff that's just like off the wall and why the would you make this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you did, and we love you for it. All right, I gotta bounce. My kids are getting crazy. Thank you guys for letting me hop on. It was fun chatting with you guys.
Nice, man. Take care.
Thanks,
I'll
Tash.
shut in the background and I'll listen, okay?
Okay.
Their bottle of salon hiding in your cellar with your children.
Yeah, we know what you're really doing.
Yeah, I'm about to go flex.
Flex on some 2-year-olds. Okay, awesome. So, absurd bubbly situation. I've seen photo evidence of Chris's absurd bubbly situation, or maybe it's not absurd. Maybe this is his daily life. I don't know Chris that well. But what about the rest of you guys? I don't know if you have an absurd situation.
A tragicomedy, if you guys want to hear it.
Yes.
So my first year in restaurant management and also my first year working with like a really good wine list, like my first wine job, I was managing one night and our low boy fridges were down. So like our by the glass wine fridges were not working. And so all of our by the glass wines were in ice buckets around the restaurant, which was already kind of a nightmare.
Oh, I love this story.
It was horrible. I hated it. It was so bad. We just had ice buckets everywhere. You had to be really careful not to trip over them. We had to be constantly replenishing them. It was a nightmare. So I'm talking to these two women and I'm talking about this Tasmanian sparkling wine that we have. And I'm really excited about it because a lot of people haven't had Tasmanian sparkling wine. It was like, 7 years ago or something. It was like very new on the block and they were really into it. And I was super excited to get them a bottle. It was a by the glass wine. So I was like, cool, just go right over to one of these ice buckets and pull it out. I go over there and there's one in there that's like not at all cold. And then there's one that's like pretty cold, but like not ideal. So I flip it over and give it a little twist as you do, circulate some of the juice, like cool it down a little bit. I'm like, cool, I'll leave it for like 30 seconds and I'll come back. Unbeknownst to me, in the time that I was gone, someone else came along and saw the same bottle and also needed it and also felt that it was not quite cold enough. And so they flipped it back up and gave it another very vicious twist. And so when I came back about 30 seconds later, I picked it up. I do it, I'm super professional at this point in my career because I was super young and I was like a little baby around all these like amazing somms. And so I'm like, I've got my 45-degree angle and I like remove my cap very carefully and I'm derp, 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 twisting like exactly right. I've got my thumb over the cork and I'm like turning my bottle and it's, been shaken a bunch and also not quite cold enough. And so halfway through my turn, it just like slams upward. It broke my nail, like cracked my thumbnail, and rocketed up and hit the ceiling. And it was like, you know, like a scene from like a Star Wars movie or something. Like the music felt like it stopped. Like everyone just looked at me, and I was like, and I couldn't figure out where it had gone for like a half second. That felt like it lasted for like 12 minutes until this woman behind me screams. And I was like, oh God, slowly turn around. And it conked her right in the head. It like cracked off the ceiling and came down, like just domed this woman. And I was, I thought I was like fired. I was like so mortified. Meanwhile, the bottle's just in my hand, like just glugging bubbles, really slowly, just like all over me. And I haven't even noticed. I'm just holding it like, it's so mortifying. And like, I just don't know what to do. And I stand there and I'm like staring at her. And then she just breaks out laughing. And she's like, I think I get a free glass of whatever the fuck that is. And I was like, oh, it all ended very well. But it was a horrifying like 3 seconds for me.
Extra cheers for the nice guests.
Nice guest. We love the nice guest. She did indeed get a lot of free bubbles that night.
Yeah. Let's see. I think my most absurd bubbly situation is definitely not as suspenseful, but there was, for an anniversary one year, there's a band that Ryan and I have seen in like 3 different states, I think, if not 4 at this point. So one year they happened to be playing on our anniversary, so we were both in the city, and we had to like make it to the train on time to be able to catch the show. So we were like running, we literally like ordered Shake Shack, ate it on the train, I like found randomly this bottle of bubbles that we actually had on like one of our very first dates, which is actually a sparkling Riesling by Peter Lauer. And it's beautiful. It's so absurdly good. I'll throw it in the chat because it's just a stunning bottle of wine. And it's super fun, but it was definitely only like 3/4 of the way cold. So we were like running to this train to be able to make it on time with like hot Shake Shack, like greasy, dripping like in the bag in our hands. Like Penn Station's disgusting because it's Penn Station and it always is. And you're like, it's rush hour, of course, because it's probably like 6 o'clock or something. And we finally sit down and like our very romantic anniversary dinner is us eating Shake Shack out of our laps, but we also open the bottle of Peter Lauer sparkling, and half of it like spills all over our laps because it wasn't perfectly chilled and we were running so hard to make it there. So we're just like in plastic cups drinking this like beautiful wine and just like nomming down Shake Shack for this like half-hour train ride to like, where was it? Red Bank in New Jersey. But it was also like one of the best times for an anniversary dinner for sure. But that's definitely the most ridiculous.
You have to put the Riesling in the chat, but also the band in the chat.
Ooh, yeah. It's definitely, it is there. Super good. Daz, which is blowing up now because he married Mandy Moore and everyone loves Mandy Moore. So now they're actually getting attention now. Yeah.
Oh. Chris, what about you? Absurd bubbly situations.
It's kind of happening, like you said, like pretty frequently with we've been getting together for outdoor events, just like a group of 6 of us, a couple friends, and someone's always bringing supermarket fried chicken. And one of my friends, Ben, he gets caviar from the farmer's market, just like, you know, not the best quality caviar, but it's like, hey, we're in this sketch ass park anyway, so why not?
Contextual caviar.
Why not? So it's either a mixture of the last one was a mixture of Kroger. We have a Kroger supermarket chain here. Kroger fried chicken, caviar, and we had these real interesting COS bubbles from Sicily. Never even knew they made bubbles. I've always had their like Frappato and Nero d'Avola. Never knew they had bubbles, and just like the pairing was just great. I want to use some other words, but it was great.
His kids, Tesh's kids aren't on the call. You can say what you want.
It was just so great. It was mind-blowing experience. And just fried chicken and caviar. If I can do that, how can we do this? How can we make Telesomm get us there where we're doing this at least like 5 times out the week?
You tell me, Chris.
What's the German word for that feeling where you really wish you'd been invited to something that you didn't know existed until after it already happened?
Oh, do you know that word?
I think it's just fun.
Something that you
Yeah, the photos are also great because they're like, the person who's taking it is obviously doing this laughing so hard. It is the blurriest photo ever, but the thing is you know how good that moment was. Yeah, so kudos to your photographer because it's just like you can feel the vibes coming off of those photos.
Yeah, shout out to my drunk photographer.
Yeah.
Everyone needs one.
Yeah, everyone needs one. Oh man, I'm having so much fun. Okay, absurd bubblies. Oh, and we had a question from Doug who said, oh, Zoe, you already answered him.
I just gently answered it. I feel like if other people want to like get into it, you definitely can.
Which region that regularly makes bubbles would you say will last longest if you don't finish the bottle all in one night? I have this problem because I'm like the only non-beer drinker in my house of 2. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Champagne.
Yeah.
It's
down.
funny we're on bubble size because it's got the most like vigorous and small bubbles. So it's just like most likely to last the longest.
Yeah. And honestly, sometimes there's like champagnes that if you're sitting on it for like a second or third day, it doesn't even matter like how carbonated it still is. It's just still so beautiful as a wine itself that it's just like irrelevant almost. I mean, texturally totally different, but still really beautiful.
Cool. So that kind of segues to this question. I don't know. So maybe you guys can tell me, how do we determine the size of the bubble? Is that pressure, sugar? What's the deal?
I can take it if you guys want.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so without getting too technical, 3 things determine the size of bubbles pretty much. There are no like, I don't think there are any extreme like always true rules in wine, but these are like the 3 things. There's the method that it is made in. So champagne is made in, traditional method or champagne method where there's a full secondary fermentation in bottle, whereas like Prosecco is made in a tank method, which just naturally creates like more, like luxurious bubbles rather than like peppy bubbles. But also like sometimes it can be a quality determinant. I would say less often than the method. But if there's like more impurities in the wine, or if the cellar that it was fermented in is warmer, so like if you honestly just like if you drink a warmer region sparkling wine, sometimes that will create a larger bubble. I would also say it's pretty irrelevant. Like I wouldn't worry about it. Like if you get something and it's got like some big, like lush, like slow moving bubbles, you should not be like, this wine is obviously full of impurities. Like take it back.
My brain had not got there. I was just curious because sometimes it's very like pin-like and sometimes it's a lot.
Well, to kind of piggyback off that, what type of bubbles do you all prefer? More tighter, more looser? Like,
I think it depends. Like, I think it's hard to paint with a broad brush for me, because it more depends on like the characteristics of each wine. Like, does it feel like the size of the bubbles matches like the flavor profile? Where it's like, yes, I want my Peter Lauer Riesling like to be super like abrasive and bubbly and like bright and cheerful, but I don't necessarily. Maybe I prefer like a full Blanc de Noir to be a little bit like gentler and softer and a little bit more delicate. But I think it depends on the context.
Nice.
Anyone else preferred bubble size?
I would just agree with Nicole, which feels like cheating off of her paper. But I do think like the bubble should accentuate what's going on in the wine. So like if I'm drinking Prosecco, I kind of want my bubbles to be a little bit softer because I want it to feel the way that it tastes to drink something that's a little bit more floral, a little bit round or a little bit lusher. And if I'm drinking like, if I'm having like Blanc de Blanc, pure Peters and oysters, like I want it to be like, ba, 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 feel jazzy.
Tiny fireworks.
Yes.
Fireworks.
What about you, Chris?
I think I appreciate all different size of bubbles. From the crazy pet nats I've been drinking to, the Blanc de Blanc. I definitely tend to, gravitate more towards, tighter style bubbles, I guess, just because I like Blanc de Blanc a lot more. But, I'm not opposed. I'm friends with all bubbles. They're all welcome over.
Buds with all bubbles.
Consensus then. So we're coming up on an hour. I don't know how many more questions we have, but is there anything you guys wanted to talk about before we wrap up here?
What a great question. I guess
Maybe we should wrap up with some like favorite snacks to drink with any bubble, because that's everyone wants to know the pairing questions. That's why people listen to Somms, for the tasty pairing questions.
Yeah.
Chris, do you want to go first, since you obviously have incredible pairing stories already?
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried to make my pairings a little bit more just like every day, where everything's always every day. We kind of like hyper appreciate food in some type of way, but fried oyster po' boy.
Yes.
Fried oyster po' boy
Lots
with
of sounds from my house for that.
fried oyster po' boy with remoulade sauce and some really beautiful Blanc de Blanc champagne, any type of champagne, Blanc de Blanc preferably, something more Chardonnay centric. I just think it's these little kisses all over, these French kisses all over your body that you really get. And I'm super Southern, so I always have to rep for the South. I'm always gonna rep for the South. So I would say a fried oyster po' boy with any style of bubble is heaven sent.
Have my to-do list for this Christmas break. Fried oyster po' boys, because we do not have them in Alaska. All right, who else?
I can go. I literally will drink champagne with anything. I am a trash panda for sure in my everyday. So I love doing something silly like Taco Bell and champagne. I also really love Chinese food and champagne. Like both of those things, it just makes like, hey, do you want to do a super easy, like everyday thing that feels incredibly indulgent and then spice it up a little bit and feel very special? Like that is, to me, because wine is all about context in my world. So if the point is to feel special and that is why you're breaking out some bubbles, then maybe you do want to just treat yourself to something super like decadent or just like feed some like little tiny food demon inside of you. But that being said, obviously, like there are definitely, yes, Taco Bell for sure. But there's so many other things, not that it would be like the perfect pairing, but I like the idea of just having almost the specialness pair with the specialness of something else, almost more than the like scientific pairing itself. Zozo, your turn.
I would just like to start by finishing your sentence for you by saying that Nicole loves Taco Bell so much that when she gets Taco Bell, her cat gets a little taco with just chicken in it.
I would like
favorite thing.
It's a little taco.
Okay,
Cutest thing ever.
It's actually Ryan's fault this time. So my cat, we adopted her from, like, she has always been my cat, but she lived with my mom after I moved out. And now she is back with us. And Ryan was like, no, she's only going to be here like temporarily. Fast forward like 2 years later, and he's the one who's like, well, she needs to get a taco because she loves Doritos. So get her a plain grilled chicken Dorito taco shell taco, and he'll break it up for her into a tiny little plate. So that is, she's the most spoiled cat.
This happened once.
I'll never forget. I think that will be the speech I give.
I'm blessed.
It looked very sad.
It was great.
cat's name?
Iris is my cat's name. She's great. I will send you pictures.
Iris.
Okay, pairings. Okay, so my very classic pairing is I like felt sadness in my soul that I wasn't currently eating a fried oyster as Chris was talking about them, because that, like, oysters are my thing. I'm from New England. I am absolutely obsessed with oysters. I know more about them than is healthy, and I love more than like anything in the world to do like a really, really, really specific pairing. Like if someone's like, oh, my favorite oysters are Kumamoto's, I love to be like, great, you should be drinking like 100% Meunier that like sits on its leaves for like 2 years. Let's go find you a bottle that like does this thing, because oysters are my treasure. They are my angels. But you know, I live in New York now, not as easy to get oysters. My like everyday favorite like bubbly pairing is like really chill, affordable Prosecco with like anything barbecued. Like I think like pulled pork and Prosecco is like one of the most banging combinations of all time. I think there's just something like really nice about like the supple, like really in your face fruity flavors of Prosecco with like barbecue sauce, which is all like feels like that to me too, like sweet and fruity and floral. I didn't grow up in America, so like moving here and discovering like barbecue and like corn dogs and like all these like bananas foods that Americans just like have invented with like just, you know, just, wow, the precision, the ingenuity. It's just like I love to live here. It's just great. But barbecue is one of those things that like I just like couldn't get enough of when I first moved here, and I think it is worthy of your greatest wine pairings. Also, yes, those are my cats' names.
Well, thank you.
Oh, we all have cats. I love it. Hold on.
Wait, what's your cat's name, Chris?
Guardian.
Guardian. After the Space Force?
I can hear Ryan laughing at that.
Not really, but yeah, let's roll with it.
Oh gosh.
Nerd.
Amazing. Does it have
It's a
does your
protector.
cat have a nickname? Is it Guard for sure?
No,
Ian.
I call her Baby Cat. That's about it.
That's the appropriate cat nickname for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We call them Bubsies and Fatsy Pants. One of them's really fat.
Mine's just,
Very
yes, she's fat. Yeah. What did everyone talk about what they're drinking? I know Greek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm Greek.
We all
sparkling.
did, right? We kind of
Yeah,
did.
I think so. Nicole's drinking.
I
You're
have
drinking
one.
the cider mimosa, right? Yeah. Or wait, this-
not the mimosa, but it is an unfiltered cider that I super enjoy. And I'm excited because I actually there's a Michigan winery called Left Foot Charlie that I just found their heirloom Michigan cider. Really excited. So I'm planning a whole like little cheese day when I get to like open that cider, try it with a bunch of cheeses, because cider and cheese is everything in life.
Cider and cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. I had this this Jackie Blow Triple Zero.
Free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This shit is so fire.
Yeah.
Like so fire.
Extra
I
credit
love-
for her doing a velvet label too.
Right?
Really?
Yes, like you have to feel it. You have.
Whoa.
It's so weird. It's so weird, but I'm into it. And sparkling Shannon is just underrated.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Strong agree.
Yeah.
So Amitesh is drinking Schramsberg Blanc de Blanc. What is everyone else drinking on in the Zoom room that they want to share?
We can't see, Doug. What is it? Bring it closer.
Yeah, Doug, show us the label. Your Christmas tree is distracting. Yes, unmute and tell us what it is.
It's a Portuguese red.
Oh, nice.
Entre ceras.
Nice.
Almeida Garrett. It's a red blend. It's not bubbles, I'm sorry.
It's fun. That's fine.
Tintori Strincadera Tinta Barocca.
How does it go with your dinner?
If you're ever here in Chicago, I'll treat you to a glass.
Oh, thank
So
you.
tender, the best of guests and hosts. And Jenny's drinking the Sanford Brut Cuvée 13. Hi, Jenny. How's it going? But
Dolores had to run. I'm drinking herbal chai tea with cloves and cinnamon stick in it because it's high afternoon here. And I have to go back to writing grant proposals after this. And I wish I was doing what you guys were doing, which is drinking and hanging out.
You're a trooper for hanging out at 2 p.m. when it's actually drinking o'clock everywhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially it's like it also gets dark where Zoe and I are at like 3 p.m. these days too, which always makes it extra time to drink at 3.
Yeah, it's very awkward because like you'll be doing some, like work or like whatever, and all of a sudden like it's dark and you're like, should I have a drink? And then you look at your phone and you're like, oh my god, it's 2 p.m. Like absolutely not. Dear Lord, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, Alaska is like that. I have 3.5 hours of daylight where I am right now. So it's always dark, which means it's always time to pour yourself a beverage.
There it is. Fortify yourself.
Yeah.
I'll probably end my night with 2 bottles in based on just like getting dark, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if it's dark at 3, I'm 1 bottle in by 4.
I disgustingly made homemade Baileys the other day.
How did that turn out?
Awesome. It's so delicious, but I have no idea how long it's going to last in the fridge. So we've committed to killing the rest of it today, just like in case. So there's like yay in the fridge. We're going to have this bottle of wine and then, with dinner, and then it's Bailey's o'clock and everyone has to crush Bailey's.
Ryan's parents also make Baileys. I'm actually really hoping they made it this year because it is part of the fun of going over for holidays. But not at all for their local
in the chat because it's very easy. And you can think I'm gonna start experimenting now because I made it with Irish whiskey because that's correct. But I'm also you could definitely make it with rum and it would be awesome. You could definitely make it with scotch or a mezcal and have it be kind of smoky. So that's my new thing now. I'm just gonna make my own Baileys because it's Christmas.
I have a very controversial suggestion. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, Ryan.
Only Zoe.
My mother.
What's up, Ryan?
Yeah, hey, Ryan.
What's up, Ryan?
My mother
What is it?
instant coffee in their Baileys, specifically Starbucks instant coffee.
Oh, I don't do
Oh,
that.
those are good.
But I do that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I have to drop off, guys, but this has been awesome. And hopefully this is a format that we can refine and keep doing every few months and just hang out and chat. And I had a great time.
Yeah,
Fantastic time. Thank you so much for hosting us. And thank you to those of us who are listening to us say silly things.
Yes. Thank you to the people listening to us say
That's
silly
so
things.
important.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Hopefully we will see you soon and hope you stay safe and have super happy holidays.
Really appreciate you guys for watching us and thank you. Great to meet Nicole and Zoe, and let's keep this going. This is great.
Yeah,
This is
we'll
great.
try sticking together soon.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Good night, guys. Have fun.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.